Hey, shalom, 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 lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hayawam tawab la atam yakam yawam on Chagadol Charlotte, which is good day. This is your brother Yawam from the JMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam kaya hamlakat hashemayim kwarab. Repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call halayim la la b'nawu Yahweh bahasham Yahweh shai bahasham rochag wadash. Wamashana la zakim na wam la akim shor Chagadol, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahasham in the name Yahweh shai delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. This is the term control obsolescence. And pretty much, how I came upon this, in the spirit, pretty much just thinking about these cars and stuff like that, because a lot of cars and different inventions, such as phones, a lot of them is pretty much made to pretty much fail. All right. Or if not failing, you have to replace certain parts on it at specific times, and pretty much that puts people in a mourning type of a state, because you got to constantly put out money, so that makes people to where, ultimately they always have to work. So, I don't want to Zabanaya Palo is what this is a beautiful edification to the spirit. So it says control obsolescence. It says or planned obsolescence is a business strategy where products are deliberately designed with a limited lifespan or artificial flaws to ensure they become outdated or non-functional, i.e., your cars. The cars, at a certain point in time, they stop making the cars. They stop making parts for the cars, so then you have to order it from the dealership, which makes it more expensive. Or they just stop making parts for the cars in general, and makes it more difficult for people to actually have transportation and get around and stuff like that, So it says or non-functional, i.e. the iPhones and stuff like that. They'll make it to where you have to constantly get updates or get the new iPhone. But it says forcing consumers to buy replacements, thereby generating continuous sales and manufacturer profit. This is achieved through tactics like using cheap components, limiting repairability, restricting parts info, discontinuing software support, or creating new models that make old ones seem unfashionable. It creates waste and frustration, but is a core tactic for companies in saturated markets to sustain demand, relying on consumer brand loyalty and lack of transparency about product life. So pretty much it puts people to a point at a point to where it makes life pretty much life ain't sustainable in this type of mindset and pretty much in this way, because people are ultimately always in the morning. They're always in a mourning type of manner. But this is Proverbs 29 and verse 2. And it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. All right, so when, the righteous, when the elect ultimately is in rulership, everyone is going to be rejoicing, you see, because the elect is ultimately going to run the world in the true rule, but the true manual, which is going to be the scriptures, everything is going to be balanced. All right, how this man is ruling the world, ultimately everything is out of balance. All right, so that's why, bills are constantly going up. That's why, there's things such as control obsolescence to where, it's constantly cash having to go out. All right. And even with cash, true money is gold and silver, so that keeps true balance when you're using gold and silver. But having this Babylonian money magic, ultimately, it pushes forth for more of a mourning type of mindset. But it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn. Everybody is mourning right now, from the people to the animals and the whole creation. All right. So let's get this. Let's get Psalms chapter 82. All right, and we'll get verse 5. And it says, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. All right, when we go to this word for foundations, all right, give me a second. It says mawasad. It says foundation. It says founding, act of laying a foundation. It says of a building. All right, so pretty much how everything was built up, when you have a building, i.e. a house, all right, everything has to be in its place. If something is out of place, well, something's going to be out of balance, so when you put that in reference to the earth is a house. All right, our bodies are houses, you see. So Esau runs everything monetarily. All right, it's the medicine industry is founded on money. All right, the earth is founded on money. If a certain portion of land, all right, is not being used, homeless people can't go up there, because Esau has to monopolize it, you see, so that he can pretty much make a profit. If he can't make a profit, well, essentially everybody is going, or those that are essentially affected from that unbalanced state, essentially, they're going to be out of they're pretty much going to be in a mourning state, if Esau can't get, what he wants. All right. So reading this is Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 9, and it says, moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. So it says, moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. Everyone is supposed to benefit off of, the earth, you see. But being that this man has made it to where, he has to monopolize land and different resources. All right. Ultimately, everyone can't be in a everyone can't ultimately thrive. Everybody is just surviving. All right, because again, everybody's supposed to benefit off of the resources or the well-being of the earth. All right, the resources of the earth, the land of the earth. Everybody's supposed to profit off of that, because if you have subjects, as the scripture says, I can't remember where it's at, but it's in Proverbs somewhere. But it talks about a king is ultimately the welfare of the people. Is pretty much, it looks good on the king. And so in a certain amount of words. But it says, moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. And the reason why I bring it up is because if the people are doing good, well, the leader is going to be good, you see. But Esau was made to be that unwise king. So therefore, that's why he's been taken out of rulership. And he was never meant, to rule the earth for eternity. All right. That ultimately was for, the Lord Yahweh Shai and the elect. All right. So it says the king himself is served by the field, and being that, this word for field, all right, let me get this word for field, and it says Shaddai, and it says cultivated land or cultivated field. It says home of wild beasts. Esau destroys the land, or he destroys, the beast. He destroys everything, So the field, the field ultimately is representative of pretty much the land on the planet Earth, So ultimately, that land, a lot of it he destroys, all right, and that's not doing good unto the people. So I'm gonna get a couple more, and that'll be it. But this is Bon Sirach chapter 10. All right, and we'll get verse 1. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. So a wise judge is going to instruct his people. All right, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. Everybody is being left to their own devices. All right, on this planet Earth. It says, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. This is not a well ordered government. All right, that's why we see the nastiness going on. And these different Senate meetings or the Senate rooms, a few months back, they was doing some nasty work, in one of them Senate rooms. All right. But then also it says the government of a prudent man is well ordered. When you look at the local governments, all right, the state municipalities, or excuse me, the local governments, the town municipalities and stuff like that, they're not well ordered. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of laws and things being carried out based upon how they feel. All right, and that leads up from the local level all the way up to the top. All right, it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. All right, so being that you have wicked rulers, all right, in the local governments, and at the top governments, that's how the people is. Everybody is wicked, because the mindset of those that are in rulership is wicked. Verse 3, it says, an unwise king destroyeth his people. All right, we got Ecclesiastes 5 and 9. The king is served, by the field. And I also quoted in so many words the precepts and Proverbs, but it talks about how, the king, if he has subjects, ultimately it looks good upon him, you see. But Esau, Edom is an unwise king, so he's destroying the people. So it says, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. All right, and the cities, all right, the planet Earth is not being inhabited as what it should be. All right, verse 4 says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set one over it that is profitable. Reading it again, it says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. All right, so being that all right, well, let's skip down to verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right, so going back to verse 4, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. Daniel 4 and 17, it says, in due time he will set one over it that is profitable. All right, Isaiah 1 and 26, those that are profitable is going to be the Lord Yahweh Shai. All right, are on down to the elect. All right. So it says, verse 8, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So being that, Esau Edom is not profitable. All right, he's ruling the world in wickedness. All right, he ultimately has unrighteous dealings. All right, injuries and riches that have been gotten by deceit. All right, ultimately the kingdom, all right, the power of the earth is ultimately going to be translated from him. all right, to Ya'aikwab, the 12 tribes, you know. So I don't want to Zaza by night. Apollos with as a beautiful edification to the spirit. Wa I don't want to Zatam Yashawam Tawab. Lord's will. You have a good day. Wa shalom lakam, which is peace and to all. Shalom, shalom.